Hello, everybody. My name is HSR,
My name is Chris Chrome.
and this is just something a little bit different. We are about to do our first interview on the channel. We had somebody reach out to us, sent us a track. It was particularly good, you know.
Particularly fire.
You don't really expect that when somebody just sends you a random track like that, and then we decided to go ahead with this idea to host this interview here. So we're gonna have a call happen. We're gonna cut the video for the chorus of the call. So we just put this here as an intro. You can listen to that interview and then get introduced to it. And then we'll be dropping some content, reviewing some of his music in the near future. So in the next little bit, we're actually gonna make that call. You'll see it cut, and then boom, it's gonna happen. We'll talk to you in a couple minutes there.
Yo, you there?
Yeah. Hey, is this Beace?
Yeah, this him. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Yo, my name is HSR. I have with me my friend Chris Chrome.
What up, what up?
Hey, peace. What's good? Y'all all right out there? I heard y'all up in Montreal.
That is absolutely true. You're in Detroit?
Yeah, I'm actually probably like about 50 miles north of Detroit, up in Pontiac, Michigan.
Okay. That sounds cool. So
Yeah.
we're really happy to have you here with us. This is our first interview like this, so it's an exciting moment for us. And
For
so
sure.
why don't you just take a moment to introduce yourself, I guess, to our audience, etc., and who you are, what your name is, and just a little bit about you.
For sure. My name is Beace. You know, a lot of people get it twisted and think it's like on some BEAST. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really sort of like a play on words with B and peace coming together. And so it's Beace,
Nice.
BEACE. Recently, I say probably within the last year or two, I kind of then took on another moniker, and that's Writer's Glock.
Okay.
So a lot of people are identifying me with that too. So, you know, either way, it's all good.
All right. That's cool. How did you come up with the Writer's Glock moniker?
You know, I've always, when I first got involved with hip hop, the guys that I was around and the guys that I was inspired by always really took, their writing seriously. I mean, you know, in order to be taken seriously as an MC, you had to have a real wicked pen game, and I sort of, you know, I know how cats sometimes be going through writer's block, and you know I've never experienced that, never in my life.
That's incredible.
I do write in spurts, but you know the writer's Glock is just all about, you know, it's a play on words, you know, the Glock, 9mm Glock, and turning my pencil into a weapon.
That's honestly really poetic. That's cool. You
That's
sound,
what's up.
if I understand and I read online, you've actually been around for quite some time. When did you start rapping?
I say probably like the late '80s, early '90s. Yeah, probably around then. Probably around like I say probably like around 90, 91, somewhere like that.
That's crazy. How did you get into it? You were in Pontiac at that time?
Yeah, I was actually in a suburb of Pontiac. I had relocated out to Auburn Hills from Pontiac, Michigan, and I ran into some guys out there that they used to go to the studio a lot, and I used to tag along with them. They called themselves the Spooks,
Okay.
spontaneous people on other kinds of shit. And
That's a good name.
yeah, so I kind of used to like tag along with them. I was never like an official member of their group or anything like that. It was just more so a crew of guys that I just happened to know a couple of guys that was involved with them, and you know I just got inspired through that. And then also watching Yo MTV Raps back in the day sort of inspired me.
That makes a lot of sense. That must have been like a crazy time. So you can basically, like, you were around basically at the birth of like when hip hop really rose into prominence and everything. I mean, you were like, you're basically like an MC on the grind at the beginning of like when people were on the grind. Like that's what I'm
Oh yeah,
understanding here.
no doubt,
That's
no doubt,
incredible.
no doubt, no
Like
doubt. Yeah, and like I say, them guys right there. I don't think that they ever released an official album, but like we talking about guys like Binary Star came out of that group of guys who and they have a real dedicated following. An artist by the name of Malachi the Most High, he came out of that situation. And a lot of them guys in that situation, they went on to do really big things as far as like solo artists and breaking up into different groups and stuff like that. So it was really an opportunity that I'll never forget, and it inspires me and still today.
that's really cool. So you ended up making your own albums, is what I saw online. How did you end up going from being like just around people to like getting into doing it yourself?
Well, actually, I would have to actually, in industry terms, I would say, they would say that a guy by the name of Decompose discovered me.
Okay.
He put me on a 12-inch. He's actually known for being a producer / MC of a group called Binary Star, as well as a guy. I gotta be honest and give credit where credit is due. Malachi the Most High, he kind of coached me out of my comfort zone as far as like when I first started coming out of the closet with my lyrics and stuff and rhymes I was writing. He was one of the first ones that I was kind of spitting, and he was like blown away by it. You know what I mean? And it was like, once I started feeling comfortable with that situation, as far as just spitting with him, because I thought that he was just like mega dope. And then, like I said, Decompose invited me to be on his 12-inch. He had got a situation with Fat Beats back in the day.
Right.
And then he put me on the Beace side of his 12-inch right there. So, like I said, as far as industry speak, they would say that, Decompose discovered me. Yeah.
That's cool. And so when did you put out your first project?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. As far as date, I know it was kind of like the early 2000s. It was Project Flame on Flame, and I was happy with it. I got a situation with a guy by the name of Mike Shimazu out west. So I say probably about in the early 2000s. Probably about early 2000s.
That's really cool. And so how many albums now have you put out in full?
Well, this next one, just as far as solo albums, I would say just one going on two, with the Sedition LP that I'm getting ready to release. Yeah, so this is gonna be my second one, but I got a lot of feature work with a guy named Bronze Nazareth with his crew, the Wiseman. So yeah, I got a lot of feature work out there too.
That's really cool. I saw you were involved with the All Eyes production. How did that all work out?
Well, All Eye Publishing is an entity that I actually started independently.
That's amazing.
I started that independently. Yeah, I started that independently, and I don't know, one thing led to another. I like I said, I got distribution from Mike Shimazu out in L.A. and just kept grinding. You know what I mean? Just kept grinding.
That's really cool. And so you, if I understand, you have artists that you have assigned to this label that you put together, and is what I saw on the site at least.
Well, yeah, it's a situation where there's a few situations. Some of them are licenses, some of them are executive production situations. We just did a situation with Shabazz the Disciple, Red Hook's Thug Angel. He was discovered by RZA. And then recently We did a situation with Decompose to release his second solo project, which is Maintain Composure. And then we actually did another situation with Solomon Childs, who is part of Ghostface Killer's crew, Theodore Unit. We did his Greatest Hits Volume 1. So all three of them, did pretty good. Did pretty good.
That's pretty incredible. So it sounds like you have a lot of things going for you. So you're definitely more than just a MC. You've got the business acumen to put things together. I believe you also have an event company of some kind, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that the same thing?
I am affiliated with. Wow, y'all really did your homework out there. Real talk. That's what I love about hip hop too. Sometimes you never know who's who's checking things out. But anyway, Acquisition Talent Agency. It's a booking agency under the umbrella of All Eye Publishing. And with Acquisition Talent Agency, we work with Svet. He's a violinist. Solomon Childs. We also book Shabazz the Disciple and Decompose. And we just try to get them artists as much as exposure as possible. And actually, that's what's been taking up my time, and that's what's actually took me away for a little while from writing and recording and things of that nature. I was sort of semi-retired, to be honest, in terms of artists, simply because I was dedicating a lot of my time and efforts into administrative obligations, trying to just live up to the obligations as far as representing artists the way that I would want to be represented, and just trying to build up the brand,
Man, you sound like the most honorable, on the grind dude. For real, that's really awesome, man. I saw one more thing I wanted to ask about. Do you really code robots or something to that effect? I might have misread that, but when I saw that, I personally got really, really excited, and I just had to ask. How did that happen?
I do.
That's amazing.
Right. Yeah, I do. Actually, I do. I do. I work with automated systems. Automated systems. I haven't been doing that in a while. I'll probably say I stopped doing that when I got offered a situation from Bronze Nazareth back in I think it was 2008, 2009, something like that. And then I was over there in that situation, doing a lot of features and stuff like that. But I'm no longer affiliated with Bronze Nazareth and the whole Black Day in July movement. But I used to program automated systems, and yes, robots. All that.
I'm not gonna lie.
Before I started dedicating that was before I started dedicating 24/7 to hip hop. You know what I mean, and just living a hip hop lifestyle, and So that's real. That's true.
That's amazing. Honestly, it's just when we got asked to do this in the first place, it was just the last thing I was expecting to see, and I think it's incredible how diverse people really can be and still end up in hip hop. And we've heard some of your stuff, and on the real, you are a crazy talented lyricist and whatnot. And I think that's the biggest reason I wanted to talk to you when I heard the first song that I believe it's Insurrection that was sent to us.
Man, thank you.
It was incredible. It was because honestly, when people go, yo, check out the song, your first thought is never, I'm really gonna like this. And I was just so caught off guard and so impressed with the intelligence and wisdom that we got out of that. So what inspired you to like come to this Sedition album? I guess come out of retirement and put together a whole project.
Wow, that's a good question. Actually, I would say that there's a few things that inspired me. You know, I'll just touch on two of them. One thing that inspired me was during carrying out my administrative obligations with the other artists that we have situations with. And when I say situations, I mean we have agreements with in place and stuff like that. Formal agreements. There was a few moments where I found it challenging and frustrating sometimes throughout the process, you know, and I started feeling like, man, you know, if I go ahead and go ahead and do what I want to do in terms of MCing and writing, you know, I wouldn't find myself coming up against. Sometimes things don't go smoothly. I'm trying to be politically correct without throwing anybody under the bus, but sometimes things don't go smoothly, you know, but it's cool. It's all a process. And then I would say the second thing that inspired me is just living life and watching the world today. Like right now, you know, the title of the album is Sedition, you know. And right now, I just think, you know, it's a lot going on in the world right now to where, you know, we're giving up a lot of our liberties, a lot of our privacy. Yep. And I just really, really went in on our subject, you know, of a lot of secret societies and uncovering hidden truths and all of that kind of stuff. So it's always been I've always been intrigued by that kind of stuff, by unwritten rules and just, you know, life in general, the government and how things get done and conspiracies and just all that kind of stuff always intrigued me. So I decided to dedicate an album to it.
Sounds like you like living on the edge.
Wow, you think that? So you think the Insurrection album is living, the record is an indication of that? I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't consider it living on the edge. I mean, but then again, you know, there have been a lot of people before me that have exposed certain things that, yeah, you could call them living on the edge. I don't know. I just speak from the heart, and I just bring my perspective to the table, and you know, I do think the album is going to be polarizing. It's going to be people out there that are completely turned off by the album, but there's going to be some people out there whose eyes are open and who like really, really, really can't get enough of the album. So we'll see how things go.
Well, I mean, from what I can tell, you seem to be very keen on speaking truth and focusing almost on what's true. Like, you don't get the feeling that you're trying to necessarily win an argument so much as show people your perspective and what you've come to learn. And as in, you're obviously not the youngest soul, so you've lived long enough to get some wisdom, and I think that really reflects it. But it does take a high degree of courage to come out and make a project like that in a time risking any kind of a backlash that can happen. You know, I mean, the title is pretty powerful words, you know, if I'm not mistaken. Sedition is just the speech to kind of almost incite people to be in rebellion. So even the power of just the word you chose to name the project is incredible.
Well, the word wasn't chosen by mistake. It truly is. I think when people listen to the album, I think they'll realize why the title is Sedition. So I think it's going to speak for itself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what can I say? I just felt like that was the only fitting title for it.
That's pretty cool. So Your lead single is going to be Insurrection, which is coming out on Monday the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, that's coming out.
so how did that come to be? Like, how did you come to get this song together and decide that this is going to be the one that you're putting out like that?
I sat down and talked to my team. And the people who I have in my inner circle. And they just felt like, and I agreed, that this Insurrection record, it really sets the table for what's to come. I mean, it's like a real statement in terms of it's like setting the table for the album. Really, honestly, it's like setting the table for the album. And I touch upon different subjects in it that, like I say, some people are going to be turned off by it, and some people are going to be turned on by it, and we'll see how things go.
Honestly, I can say, having heard it, I get where you're coming from. It's a really astute description of how things are, and I would happen to agree with the perspective that you're putting out here. But even then, there's a couple of like older songs of yours that are floating around online that we were able to get our hands on, and it just seems that you've always had this deep focus on almost spiritual and like heavily like you get the feeling you've read a lot. Do you read a lot?
Actually, you know something, believe it or not, I started to lie and say yeah, you know what I mean? I started to lie and say yeah, but I would say I'm not a voracious reader, okay. But I would say I do. I have done some reading. Unfortunately, I put myself in a situation back in the day where I had an overwhelming amount of time to sit down and dedicate to reading, and so and then also too, I would have to credit my mother and my grandmother for planting the seed inside of me to where I was just curious about. I've always been curious about like it always seems like there's an intersection where science and spirituality meet up, and I just always be trying to figure out and rectify where one ends and one begins, or where they meet. So that's always been interesting to me, and has always been reflected in my songwriting.
Honestly, I had screenshotted a tweet that from yours on November 27th that goes, "Bridge the gap between science and spirituality," because I just thought that idea was so incredible. 'Cause I'm actually of a similar mindset, just in the sense that science in the way that it looks today almost feels almost spiritual and religious in the way that people treat it, and then, spirituality almost seems to have a little bit of science in how it's being treated today, just from how I saw it. So I just thought that was super interesting. But how did you get into more of this deeper level of thinking? Because it seems like you are truly on this quest to understand far more than, I'd say, the average person might be willing to.
I would say that one of the first books that sparked my interest was, believe it or not, when we was really, really young. First off, I was always, the crew of guys that I affiliated with, we was always like really, really kind of like deep. This is just my personal perspective. We were like deep thinkers, you know what I mean? We was always thinking. So like we had got a hold of this book called Behold the Pale Horse by Mr. William Cooper. And it was just like some real heavy mental stuff in there that actually literally is coming to be. It's like we're living the things that he touched base on back in the day. It's like seeing it go on right now. So I guess with that, reading that book right there really had a profound effect on me. Reading that book from cover to cover. I would say also reading the Quran from cover to cover. I would say also reading the Bible. A lot of different types of books. So I would say the books really inspired me.
That's really cool. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I saw online you also have a family, and you're involved heavily in being a father and all that, on top of everything else that you're doing with your life.
Oh, definitely. I love that's probably my favorite part of my life. I love being a father. Yeah. Actually, I want to say special shout out to my son, Corey Jr. He actually, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but he won a state championship last season in wrestling, and it's really not easy to do, but he did it. And so if and when he hears this and becomes a part of my legacy and your show's legacy,
Thank you.
I just want him to be able to know that, yeah, I shouted him out. But yeah, I love it. I'm also married. I have a beautiful wife, and I enjoy a family life. Yeah, I could talk on and on as far as that goes, because I do take that seriously, and I enjoy it. Yeah.
That's incredible. At any point in your career, were you finding yourself on tours or actively performing or heading out into that? And do you have any like crazy stories related to that?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think right now not so much, but back in the day, I would say one crazy story that was kind of, it always kind of, I don't know, but back in the day, like I said, I was fortunate enough to be able to learn from Bronze Nazareth, and be around his camp. And actually, I want to give credit where credit is due. I actually feel like I learned how an album is put together and how to be a leader of a crew by just sitting there. It wasn't like he sat me down and said, okay, now do this, and this. But it was just being around that and watching how he moved around with his crew and how he legislated and orchestrated things. I learned a lot. So long story short, I was doing a lot over there. I was writing, I was spitting, I was also doing a lot of administrative things. And one of the things that I was doing over there was handling the booking while I was over there. And so we had a tour. We put together a tour. We had all of the dates locked in and all this and all that. But we ended up, we was like in, I think it was Des Moines, Iowa. And we kind of, I don't know how to, I ended up getting in an argument. With another one of the brothers, God bless him, salute the kid. He doing a bid right now. I don't know too much about that situation. I don't care to know too much about it. But we was out on the road, and we of all people, because the reason why I say it was kind of a crazy story is because in the studio, in terms of recording, out of that whole camp, the person that I had the most cohesive relationship with in terms of building songs, it would have to have been Salute the Kid. I mean, there were nights where it was just me, him, and Bronze in the lab. I mean, and we was just just sparking mad records. But then outside of the studio, me and Salute the Kid was kind of like oil and water. You know what I mean? We really didn't gel too good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we was at each other's neck or nothing like that. But so it was almost like opposites attracting in terms of the art. And I think it was really cool the way that Bronze orchestrated that as a producer, because looking back, I believe that we ended up in the lab on certain nights. And I think that he put that together knowing that there would be some good records that came from me and him. And actually, some of those records haven't even come out, but I found that interesting.
That's fair. That does sound like
Yeah.
crazy. That does sound interesting. I mean,
Yeah. We was like oil and water outside of the studio, but inside of the studio, like I would say, there was a record called "Campaign of Pressure" that we ended up doing, and I mean, it's one of my favorite records.
Okay. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it sometime. There is something I remember that I saw online that I thought was particularly interesting. And it was I believe you actually sold a writer's Glock merch item that seemed to be a recording pen device.
Oh
But
yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
sold out at this time. How did that happen?
Actually, you know what? That was another situation where just sitting around being innovative, and it just came down to, like I said, I really, really, me personally, I'm the kind of artist. I don't rely on. A lot of people rely on marketing. A lot of people rely on promotion. I do too. I respect that aspect of the game, but for me and my fan base, I believe my fan base has always appreciated the fact that I rely strictly on beats and lyrics. Period. That's it. You know what I mean? I rely on my pen and beats and a mic. That's it. And it's like I bring it to them raw. And if they feel it, and they share it with their people. And so getting to that writer's Glock, that was another play on, because it's actually a pen. It's a pen that, yes, you can record with, and as well as it's a USB device also. So it's kind of almost like a utility device, with the base operation being that it's a pen. And it can also, like you said, you can record on it and stuff like that. So it's definitely, it's online still, and anybody that wants one, we didn't went through like 3 batches of them. So yeah, it's online. All I Publishing, Bandcamp, they still got it in the merch. Yeah.
That's very cool. So we can link that down below if anyone wants to check that out for the folk watching this. And yeah, so I'm not sure. Do you have any questions, Chris, on your end?
I have a few questions that I just want to ask. I've been taking some notes down here from the conversations we've been having. You mentioned a little earlier, Beace, that when you were coming up, when you were starting up, the group of people you were with, they were like really heavy on lyrics, right? If I recall correctly.
Definitely. I mean, like, really heavy on lyrics. I mean, you really had to be coming with some witty punchlines, and then also
Right.
the main thing too was you couldn't just rhyme on the one. And what I mean by rhyming on the one is, like, MCs know you can take the structure of a sentence, and you had to be able to rhyme on multiple syllables. This
Absolutely.
means that it's not just blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Instead of that, it's more like, I mean, you're just constantly sticking and moving to the point where it's like you're giving the listeners a nosebleed. You know what I mean? You're just sticking and moving consistently on the track. So yeah, I would definitely say that.
Nice. And the reason why I'm asking is because what you were, like I was saying, you were letting us know that you were starting off in like late 80s, early 90s, and first off, like even 91, when I would remember when you were starting to come up, like I was only a child at that time. So the music that I kind of grew up with and the music that I listened to is far completely different than anything that you have made. And part of this part of like my question is like, how do you feel where your lyricism and how you write your music is compared to some of the music nowadays? 'Cause like when I was introduced to Insurrection, like I just came off of some like one of the new age rappers. I got home from listening to some of this one of like the trap beats or whatever, and then you know HSR sent me your track, and it was like a whole different world. And I was just wondering like, how do you feel between like music from back then and like music now, like that kind of what people are calling it as a generation gap. How do you feel on that?
You know, some with all due respect, I mean, I let them do what they do. I think that hip hop is maturing now. You know, okay. I don't have any. I'm not ashamed to say I'm 44 years old. So it's like the way I look at it is like you know how like your artists like Miles Davis and Donald Byrd and all of these guys, they really didn't hit their prime until they was like later on in their career. Right. And so, I mean, I really don't ever really try, to be honest with you. I don't really try to fit into the, I don't really try to change up my formula to fit like 18 and 19-year-old guys or just the new generation, so to speak. You said about that. I respect what they do. I just would like to see some substance. And when I say substance, I mean if they want to talk about gangsterism and stuff like that, because I've been there too. I can't lie. If you listen to Flame on Flame, there's some situations on there that I probably wouldn't write about right now at this age. But to make a long story short, I really don't try to fit in with them. I just basically stay in my lane and be passionate and be real with what I'm bringing to the table. And because what you got to understand is hip-hop is now becoming more mature. So, like, you take a guy like Chuck D or KRS-One, these guys are grandfathers now. They're grandfathers now. And so the same way, like my mother and my father, they still listen to old Motown records. So like we got 40-year-old, we got grandparents who still want to hear that golden era MC spit the raw, multiple syllables and witty punchlines that I bring to the table and other MCs like me bring to the table. So it's really no need for us to switch up. It would be almost like James Brown, rest in peace, changing his style because New Edition came out, or the OJs changing their style because Guy came out, a new group. Nah, I'm going to stay in my lane, and I'm going to let them stay in their lane. I'm going to continue to do what I do, and my fan base is going to follow me and appreciate the stuff that I bring to the table. So I don't disrespect them, but I'm not really trying to fit into their genre, so to speak. Hip-hop is sprouting into a whole bunch of different subgenres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't really. That's something I don't know. I'm really passionate about that, and because that's a touchy subject. I think a lot of MCs right now, and I get disappointed in some of the guys that I really, really used to look up to, and then I turn around and I see them, you know, trying to fit into the new era. Let these kids do what they do. And I don't mean to call them kids because some of them are adults. Mm-hmm. But let them do what they do. We need to keep doing what we do and continue to feed our fan base, because it is people out there that's 40, 45, 46, 47 that still listen to the kind of hip-hop we bring to. That would be like Smokey Robinson coming out and trying to sound like Miguel. Well, no, Smokey Robinson is from Motown. He gonna keep it real for the people who still like, they want to hear that. So that's my perspective on it. It's not etched in stone. Everybody has to believe that, you know what I mean? To each his own. But that's just my personal perspective on it.
Absolutely.
I can get behind anybody who's going to take the least hater approach to the situation, and I really respect where you're coming from. It really does come from like a place of wisdom, honestly. But who are your favorite rappers, and who are your favorite like influences over the years, I guess?
Yeah, I would say because I hardly don't listen to a lot of the new guys. I got to be honest. There's some of them I do, but I mean, I would say some of my favorite artists was definitely Wu-Tang Clan for sure. I mean, like they're like my era as far as hip hop go. They're like the Beatles. That I mean, I don't want to. I don't know. That's just. I mean, they would just get when I was coming up. And so I definitely like them. I like a crew called Killer Army. Killer Army. I like. I was definitely influenced by Shabazz the Disciple and what he brought to the table. I can't sit, even though I'm not affiliated with him anymore. I gotta be honest. Bronze Nazareth was like a real big influence on me. I listened to his whole catalog. And there's another artist up in Minneapolis, I Self Divine. He was a part of this crew called the Micronauts. Real influential. Actually, to be honest, he helped me. He doesn't even know, but he helped inspire me with this Sedition LP, because I remember last time he was out here in Detroit, we was riding around, and he was just telling me, man, just be honest with it. Just come from your heart, you know. And he was telling me, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, so to speak. And I think what he meant by that was just go ahead and write from the heart. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be some people out there that take to it, and there's going to be some people that don't. So those are the artists that influenced me. I like Rakim. I like Big Daddy Kane, of course, Cool G Rap. I really like Immortal Technique. But yeah, so those are the artists that is, especially Chuck D. I say Chuck D, Professor Griff. Yeah, them guys really, really inspired me. I never try to mimic anybody. So when I say inspired me, I think anybody who listens to what I bring to the table artistically, I don't think I really sound like anybody other than myself. It's just that these people that I mentioned kind of inspired me and gave me the courage to feel like, you know what, I can do this, and I can come from the heart and touch upon these critical aspects. And there is a segment of society that's interested in hearing that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for letting us know that. I also wanted to touch upon, you brought up the fact that you're I want to say like your homie, right? He was telling you to write from the heart when it came to this song, when it came to like the album you're working on. And what I got from listening to Insurrection, I also took a look back. I listened to like Paprika earlier today before we were doing this, and I get this sense that like you're trying to like inspire people to kind of rise up and trying to like elevate spirits. What is your like movement for that? I feel like you're trying to like inspire people to grow, to like help them see a different point of view. What is your goal with that? Like,
I
what are you
would
trying
say
to get
my
out?
goal, that's really easy answer right there. I just want to raise the conscious level of the people. And when I say people, it's really not a race thing, that, at least from my perspective. I mean, from my perspective, across all creeds and colors, I just want to raise the conscious level of the people. And what I mean by that is I want to help inspire people to become more conscious on what's going on out here. I just think a lot of people are being shocked into giving up their liberties. I believe that people are being shocked into giving up and surrendering their privacy. And like I say, it's the third time I say it. To put it in a nutshell, all I'm trying to do is raise the conscious level of the people and help people become more conscious about what's going on in the world.
That's really cool. I noticed that you had the lyric on the song Lone Wolf, my legacy is my own responsibility. And I thought that was just truly profound because it's so proactive. It's so like, it's a self-aware lyric. Like you understand that at the end of the day, it's almost like you control your destiny to a degree, or you make what, it was just, I thought it was really inspirational, honestly, hearing it. I just wanted to ask if that's always how you've been, or if that's something that like came to be over the course of like, making mistakes and growing up and whatnot.
No, I became conscious of that word at a very, very early age, just because it was brought to me by my mother. Just my legacy is my responsibility. And if I don't take it seriously and be mindful of it, then other people will try to write my legacy for me. That's another reason why I think going back to, it's almost like we came full circle. We did a whole 360 degrees in this conversation. Is one of the reasons why I think earlier somebody asked me what was one of the reasons that got me into hip hop was, and part of that reason was I wanted to basically document my perspective, so that like when none of us are gonna leave here, none of us are gonna get out of here alive. That's just a reality of it. None of us are gonna get out of here alive. And when my time does come, I just think that it's awesome that there will be a catalog of works that will reflect who I am, so people won't have to wonder, or people won't have to go and get false information possibly from other people to describe who I am. All they got to do is go to my works. You know what I mean? All they got to do is go to my works and listen to my music, and it's all there in terms of who I am and what I stand for and what my perspectives are.
Hearing that, it really shows you have that passion as an artist. You've got that mentality of like, it sounds like you don't want to be another number, another body. You know what I mean? Like you really want to set that, like, that bar really high and make sure that when, as you said, when your time does come, like there's not going to be lies or false information. It's like, you want to check out who I was. You can read my catalog. You can listen to my music. You can feel my message. You can get where I'm trying to come from, even after you've, left Earth, or however it happens.
Exactly. You can basically, there was an artist out here that inspired me. He released I think it was like a mix CD or something, and he titled it, I think it was called Witness My Growth. And it was an artist named Elzai, I think he's from Detroit or Southfield, but I think he's from Detroit. I'm not sure. But Witness My Growth. And in the records that I have released and I have been a part of, whether I was a feature artist on it, or whether it was, my project or something like that, there is some growth. There's some things that I listened to back on my Project Flame on Flame album, and I cringe. You know what I mean? I cringe. I'm like, shit, I can't believe I said that. You know what I mean? It was like, I was like maybe a little bit younger. But it's a growth process, and I don't have no regrets, because everything that I went through brought me to this point, and I'm happy. I'm so grateful. I really appreciate y'all giving me a call, too, and sharing y'all platform with me. I did want to say that I'm really, really grateful. I really am. I don't know if you guys know, but one of the best things that an artist enjoys is like when somebody like literally like takes an interest in what they bring to the table. I mean, it's no better feeling than that. I mean, it supersedes any of the finances that come in from publishing with ASCAP or streaming and all of that kind of stuff, Sound Exchange, all of the different revenue streams. It really supersedes that. I mean, I respect money, don't get me wrong, because my son got to eat. My son got to eat. So I definitely have a profound respect for money and stuff like that. But it really is awesome. And I appreciate you guys for opening up your platform with me and getting in contact with me. So thank you.
Honestly, I mean, the pleasure's ours from our end of it. It's incredible to be able to talk to just somebody who actually understands the culture a lot better than we do, who, like, you know, is almost affiliated a lot more with it, who lives it, you know, in a sense where we can appreciate it and we can study it, but we'll probably never have that same perspective that you have for the culture. And so thank you for sharing that with us and just taking the time to talk with us. That is a really great experience for us too, you know?
Well, personally, what I also really like about you is that you, as much as, and you did say it, like, you're highly invested in the money as well, but it seems like you're also in, like, the hip hop culture and in music for the actual music and for the actual culture. Like, part of you is still here for, like, what you love and the passion. And I think that a lot more artists could learn that from you in terms of growing as an artist. Like, I myself, I write my own rap music. We do our thing over here, but even myself, I feel like I can learn from you in a way where it's like you don't have to worry about the money. It's like, as long as you, like you said, you write it from your heart and you say what you got to say and you speak your own truth. It's like, it's more valuable that way instead of having to work out for sales.
No doubt. I totally agree with that, bro. I totally agree with that, because that's going to take care of itself. I mean, you do have to put some energy in marketing and make sure you got, you know, a good team around you that's helping you, you know what I mean, push your material and increase the awareness of it. I definitely respect that too. But first and foremost, I think if more MCs would focus on relying on lyrics, the content. If you bring in good content to the table, just like your format behind that suit, when a person visits your channel, your YouTube channel, you're bringing substance to the table. You got good content. You understand what I'm saying?
Honestly,
so
thank you.
The content is going to speak for itself. And as an artist, you know, like I said, you know, you got to respect money. If you're living and you grown, only kids get the opportunity to just, you know, be oblivious to bills and all of that stuff. That's part of the youth, you know what I mean? And it's cool, you know what I mean? And they shouldn't have to worry about bills because they didn't ask to be born. But as you become an adult, you definitely have to respect money, and bills got to be paid and stuff like that. But as an artist, first and foremost, my focus is on lyrics and bringing substance to the table and trying to increase the conscious and raise the conscious level of the people. That's mainly what I believe in. That's just something that I believe in.
Nice.
That's really
what I believe in.
If you wouldn't mind if I could just ask another question, in terms of content and in terms of, like, you know, how you're saying, like, lyrics are like important in the content and the substance of the music. Where do you think that there's like a divide from, like, I don't know, let's kind of throw some things in there, like education or just interest in wanting to learn more so that we have that substance? Like, sometimes I feel like some MCs or some artists, it's like they can have that substance, but I feel like they rather just make the easy way. You know what I mean? Like, to have substance, you got to make that effort, right? Like, you got to go out and read the book and go find and go listen to news and go watch like 4 or 5 hours a day of politics or something to be really involved. Do you think that part of being an artist, part of being, you know, rapper, hip hop in the culture is is making that effort to find more knowledge. Do you think that's also part of being a good lyricist, a good rapper?
Well, I mean, it depends. Yeah, I mean, I think anyway, if you're going to come from the heart, you're going to have to collect some data.
Right.
I mean, whether it's even if you're a gangster rapper, I mean, you're gonna be in the streets. You're gonna be looking and watching what's going on around you. So you collecting data. You know what I mean? And I just like it when people present it in a witty, sophisticated manner. I really don't like nursery rhymes. It's a waste of my time. So I don't want to make it seem like a person has to be speaking about super scientific, metaphysical stuff all the time, because there's some gangster rappers that I like out there. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I still like some gangster rappers, but I just like whatever a person's gonna bring to the table, have it make some sense. And that's just my personal opinion. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna be out there talking about street stuff, put it together in a clever, witty, sophisticated manner. You know what I mean? Don't just be out there cussing and, you know, suck this and F that, and I mean, you know, I can't really find too much substance in that.
Preach to
I
that.
appreciate that. So if I understand it correctly, you're actually still going to the studio after we're done with this interview situation tonight.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I actually do. I'm about to go spit. I say, sonically, I seek and destroy like a predator drone. They kidnapping revolutionaries and replacing them with clones. Study the Mandela effect. We guilty of willful neglect. Alternate realities insult the public's intellect. Indict the government with irrefutable allegations. Don't trust the Council on Foreign Relations or the United Nations. Death is a hot commodity, not in short supply. When diplomats argue, innocent civilians die. Psychological covert war is being waged against us, but they'll probably label my Sedition LP treasonous. I rise to the occasion like exponential equations, lyrically brazen, meditative visualizations. The U.S. government's just a puppet. Billionaire banksters pull the strings. Research me in Arkansas, CIA drug ring. I spray your district with artistic ballistics. Beace, a.k.a. Writer's Glock, Supreme Council of Wizards and Warlocks. I gotta go spit that tonight. I'm gonna go
That's
record
fire.
that tonight.
Yo,
That's awesome.
Lighting the lighter in the studio for that fire. That is
Honestly, that was nice. I was trying
Yeah,
not to
I'm gonna
make noises
spit
over that.
tonight. That's gonna be the second verse of Supreme Council. By the way, my brother, Michigan Mike. Some people know him as Cicero. This whole album is produced by All Out Publishing. All Out Publishing has like 3 production companies that it administrates beats for. So that's where the beats are coming from, is right in house. But we got this one joint right here called Supreme Council, and my little brother, Michigan Mike, he produced that. So special shouts out to him. I think he gonna make some noise in the near future in terms of producing for me, because I really like his beats. I really
look forward to hearing them personally. I'm just throwing that out there. That's really cool. I don't have a lot more to ask. I mean, I know we could keep talking forever. It's coming up to an hour. I don't know how much more time you have for us today.
Yeah, I gotta get going. You right.
But I'm really. So yeah, I'm really just happy because like we weren't sure if we'll have like fun. This was pretty awesome on our end. So thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it. We will be releasing a video at one of our lyrical breakdowns for Insurrection on Monday, I believe, or something like that, to kind of coincide with that. So you can get a detailed look at how we feel about the track at that point, and everyone else you can see that coming out. So I just think that'll be pretty exciting. And yeah, so
that's what's up.
So yeah, I just wanted to thank you for doing this with us, and we look forward to hearing everything when it comes out. Oh, when does the album come out? That's a good question.
we're looking at a date in the fourth quarter, either late third quarter, either I say October, November-ish. November.
Hey, my birthday month. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. It's really about the timing. We gotta make sure that the social climate is ready for it. It's pretty much done. Like I said, I'm going to a session tonight. Just putting some finishing touches on some things. Just doing some ad libs and stuff like that. And just fine tuning it, making sure that it flows. I want it to be almost like a audio movie. I want it to play like awesome. A movie. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
But I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and hopefully we'll talk again soon sometime.
Absolutely. We'll keep in touch. Thank you so much, and have yourself a great night.
All right, peace.
Have a good one. Peace.
Okay, everybody. So we're going to just do our little goodbye thing. That was our little interview with Beace. It was fun. We enjoyed it. The call is now done, so now you can see us again. That's right, Chris. The camera's there.
What up, guys?
So, just I guess we'll wrap up here. We will be doing, as you heard just before, a lyrical breakdown of the lead single off this album, and we'll link to where it's available once it comes out on Monday, so you can watch for that. We're back. We're recording all our podcasts like normal again. That'll be coming. It's like midnight, so we're a little disheveled and tired, so I apologize for that.
No pain, no gain, HSR. No pain, no gain.
Well, Beace is off to the studio. Bust that out at 2 a.m, and I'm sitting here going like, damn. He's way older than me.
It's okay. 2 a.m. recordings are about to come, Holden. You already know.
I know. We'll learn how to live like that. But yeah, just before we take off, a special thank you to Mozart, our current and only Patreon. If you do like what we do, we are going to be getting into more of these interviews. This is the new thing we're going to be messing with. We're going to be messing with some local people. We can do it over Skype. You know, we want to, if you are interested, you can reach out to us at behindthatsuit@gmail.com. And yeah, so thanks to Mozart and all that Patreon stuff. You can follow us on Twitter and all that. Thank you so much for being here. Let us know what you want to see us cover in the future. Let us know what you thought of this, and if you want to see more of this kind of content so that we can get our education on and learn and all that crap.
Definitely.
Anyway, thanks. Have a great night. Bonnie's sleeping in the next room. Peace.